How you going? You're not bad, mate. Very good. Welcome back to Critical Footy. Today, I'm just going to have a quick discussion about a rule that, honestly, is starting to get on my nerves. Well, when I say starting to, I mean it's been on my nerves for about 4 years now. I'm talking about the stand rule. I don't know about anyone else, but this rule is just bloody stupid. I don't believe I actually know anyone who enjoys this rule. Ever since it came out, it's been criticised. So I think it's time we start asking the question, like, AFL, what are we doing with this? Are we going to get rid of it? Is it sticking around? Because it's fucking ridiculous. Anywho, let's get into it. Look, one thing that pisses me off the most with this, besides always hearing stand, stand, stand all game, is the 50-metre penalties that come with it. Absolutely ridiculous, you know? Look, 50-metre penalties, they have a place in the game, obviously. But they're for infringements that affect the game, affect the play, or affect a player, right? If someone's on the mark and maybe they stood a half metre over the mark, or if they're taking a couple little side steps on the mark and you call 50 metres for that, it is ridiculous. It's an absolute joke. I'm trying to understand the angle that the AFL has come from when they introduced this rule. I mean, for years now, they've been adding rules just to try and make the game quicker, I believe. I mean, you're seeing that now with the deliberate out of bounds call, which I'll get into another day because that's that's just a whole nother bag of fish to get into. Bag of fish, I don't think that's the same, but it is now. And look, I suppose it does help because it's now much easier for players to receive a handball coming past the mark. If the player's stuck there, stood on the mark, they can't interfere with that play as easily. Look, maybe it has sped up the game a little bit, but the pros do not outweigh the cons on this one. It is fucking ridiculous. And just from an image standpoint, it looks stupid. And hell, stand, I am so sick of hearing it. I'm watching some games muted because it just drives me nuts. And then when you have a 50-metre penalty for something like this, someone just dawdling around on the mark a little bit, doesn't affect the game at all. The player who has the ball and is about to kick it, he's not even watching the player on the mark there. He's looking downfield. It doesn't affect him whatsoever. And then suddenly 50 metres and it costs a team a goal. It's bullshit. It's ruining the game. Like many other things, but we'll get into them on another day. And look, there's zero leniency for the player on the mark, right? And then the player with the ball, look, not every time. Sometimes they drift off their mark and you hear the umpire play on. Sometimes they're way too hot on that as well. But so often, I've got the example here. You see Jimmy Webster stood where he's told to stand, and then Oscar Allen just drifts around. By the time he's running by, Webster's no chance of getting near him if it was play on. I mean, look, I get it. I know why they've done it. They just want more offense, faster. Keep people drawn to it. Hold their attention. But it's ridiculous. You don't need it. AFL is so worried about their image, they don't realise that it's already the most exciting sport. I mean, compare it to any American sport where there's breaks every 2 minutes. You get 2 minutes of action and then you get 2.5 minutes of ads. We don't have that problem with footy, and we're not going to have that problem. But the more they try to speed up the game and the more they worry about their image, they're just destroying themselves. I don't understand why it's going on, but I try to understand, and I make up some reasons for them, but look, at the end of the day, the product's just getting shitter, so I think it's time to start calling it out. That's what I'm here to do. The stand rule, it's got to go. It's got to go. All right, maybe give players on the mark they've got like a 2 meter radius and they can go. Wasn't that a thing when it first came in? They were able to move west-east, just not north-south. I mean, you can't move forward across the mark anyway. Just let them hover around a little bit. They can take a side step here and there. There's another example here. The Hawthorn player, what's his name? Morrison. This is one where he did exactly that. He was called to stand, but he shuffled a little bit on the mark because he saw the player moving already. And luckily the umpire called play on, and so it just was. But honestly, if that Gold Coast player had stood for another couple seconds and Morrison was shuffling like he was, they would have called 50 metres. And it's just stupid. Oh, mind the quality, by the way. Pretty piss poor, but I'm doing my best, alright? Now, I've flirted before with the idea of a 25 metre penalty rule. You keep your 50 metre for the real bad infringements, like a really late hit, something obvious, something that's going to hurt the player or really affect the play. That's 50 metres, fair enough. But for all this little petty shit, maybe you can introduce 25 metres. And, I mean, I still don't like that. I'd rather they just get rid of it completely. Not the 50 metre, but the stand rule and all that. Because it sounds like I'm having a go at the umpires. I'm not really. It's getting so much harder for them. And look, I say you can introduce this 25 metre penalty, but that's just another thing that they have to try and interpret then. It's getting harder and harder and harder. I was reading something today about it was an interview with Brett Roseberry from 2021, and he's talking about how when he started is about 55, 60 tackles a game, and now the average, and this is in 2021, it's more like 120. Some games getting to 150, 200 tackles a game. It's getting increasingly difficult for the umpires, and when they're adding 5 bloody new rules a season, what do you expect them to do? They can't keep up with it, and the training that they're getting just isn't up to par, obviously. I don't think they have the resources for it. They're not getting the funding. So, I'm not having to go at the umpires. Not with this, at least. I'm having to go at the AFL. They need to crack down on this, figure out what's going on, because I don't know anyone who likes it. Ever since it came out, it has been criticised, yet it's stuck around for 4 years. So what's the go? Anyway, look, that's my gripe for the day. And look, the umpires are held accountable, apparently. There's always egregious decisions every game. It's going to happen, human error. But there's no public data on it, which is kind of frustrating. I was digging today, trying to find some stats on 50-metre penalties, but no, there's nothing out there. Nothing at all. Apparently the AFL has the data, and they use it to hold them accountable. But why not make it public? I suppose they're trying to protect them. Look, the umpires do get a lot of scrutiny. They get criticised plenty, but what's wrong with a bit of accountability? Anywho's, it's a short one from me today. Keeping it real with Critical Footy. Appreciate you joining in. If you are joining me on this funny little journey, I did my ACL at the start of this footy season, so I've just got piss all else to do. And I've got to get this one out before the opioids kick in. So I'm going to wrap it up there. Have a lovely day. Ooroo bludgers. Fuck yeah, fucking footy. And yeah, like and subscribe. Chuck a comment down. And I'm keen to hear your thoughts. Let's get a discussion going about this, All right, ooroo.